Our class video showed us how it came about that we in the West have a 7-pitch or 7-note scale. It was given to us by the ancient Greeks owing to their love for mathematically pure musical intervals. They used math to explain the entire universe, including music. The Greeks had several different kinds of scales, and you heard all the funny names there in the class video. And this held true for about 2,000 years. But by the 17th century, Western musicians had reduced these down to just 2 kinds of 7-pitch patterns, a major pattern and a minor pattern. The major pattern went this way. And the minor this way. Each follows a particular pattern of steps on the keyboard. You can look all this up in your textbook to see what the 2 patterns are of whole and half steps, the smallest distances on the keyboard. But the important thing is to hear the keyboard and hear the major and minor when played on the keyboard. Major. Ever notice on a piano that we have 2 pitches that sound rather identical, almost the same thing? If we start on this pitch, go up and down the scale, get that arrangement. If we start here, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. No, we don't have H's. Why don't we have H's? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Because this is duplicating, in essence, the one down below. Octave duplication. The 8th note is the same as the first. Therefore, the 8th note is simply called the octave. You know about octaves. You've been hearing them all of your life. I'm going to sing a pitch, and you're going to sing the octave above. I'll do one first, and then you do one. I'll take this. La, la. Okay, now you do one. Here we go. La. That's right. Bum. So we have the octave in our ear. This is the 2-to-1 ratio that we discussed before in our first session. The upper pitch, the octave above, is vibrating. My vocal cords here are vibrating twice as fast, lum, as the lower octave, lum. The 8th pitch of the scale duplicates the first pitch. 8 and 1 are the same, and thereafter all the intervals are the same. The intervals in that higher octave that I just played are exactly the same as the lower one. For this reason, we have only 7 letter names in the scale, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, because we start all over again. This is the phenomenon of octave duplication, and it's part of nature, not nurture. Octave duplication is at work in musical cultures around the globe, whether in Chinese music, Indian music, Indonesian music, or African music. So we in the West have a major scale pattern and a minor scale pattern, each with 7 different pitches. But the distance between the adjacent pitches in those 2 scales is not the same. The major and minor scales involve 2 different sequences of intervals. Again, an interval in music is simply the distance from one pitch to another. In each major and minor scale, there are 5 adjacent intervals that we call whole tones and 2 intervals of half tones or half steps. Think of the scale as a ladder with rungs. But as you go up the ladder, 5 of the rungs are a foot apart and 2 rungs are just 6 inches apart. So here are our ladders, and they're irregular. But if they are irregular, blame the ancient Greeks who put mathematics ahead of symmetry. Why is this important? This whole and half step business, this idea of rungs of different sizes within the scale. Well, it's because of the position of the half steps within the scale that makes the major scale sound the way it does and makes the minor scale sound the way it does. Here's the beginning of the major scale ladder, and here's the beginning of the minor scale ladder. All major scales sound the same way because they have the same pattern of whole and half steps. All minor scales sound the same way for the same reason. We can begin a major scale or a minor scale on any pitch of the keyboard. We can move the pattern, transpose the pattern, as it is called, to begin on another pitch. Scales are extremely important when listening to music, far more so than we realize. We've grown up with scales. Even if you've never had a moment of instruction in music theory and you've never heard of the idea of major scale before today, I could prove to you that you know a lot about scales because you've been hearing them all your life. So I'm going to begin to play here, and you finish off a major scale. So here we go. La, 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 la. See there? Good. You did it.